The BRRRR strategy. If you're a real estate investor, you may have heard this term before.
We love doing the BRRRR, but we also love adding our spin to it that puts it into high gear.
We're going to explain exactly what we mean in this video. We're the investor couple. I'm Mel.
And I'm Dave.
And we're the investor couple. And you're watching Real Estate Investing 101. On this channel, we teach regular people just like you the secrets to time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom through real estate investing.
New tips every week, so please make sure to subscribe. Now, why is this important? This is going to help our algorithm, which is going to help us continue to provide you with amazing content and videos every single week.
Yeah, so subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified as well.
The BRRRR method. Now, let's be honest. The first time I heard this, I remember thinking, what in the heck is BRRRR, right? I'm not cold.
And how many R's is there?
So what it actually stands for, again, here is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. So 1B and 4 R's. That's how many R's there are.
So in this video, we're going to be talking about what it means, how to do it so you can do it as well, and make sure to stay right till the end because we're going to show you a trick on how we've really been able to expedite our growth using the strategy.
Yeah, the spin that we put on the BRRRR is using other people's money, creative financing, and solely owning the asset.
All right, let's get started. First letter, B for buy.
Now this can apply to all sorts of different real estate. So don't think that the BRRRR strictly applies to either single family homes, can be mobile homes, trailer parks, can be apartments, condos. It can even be 50 plexes or 100 plexes. The BRRRR, it is a strategy that applies to any type of real estate that you buy.
Yes, and don't think that it's only in certain markets. People are applying this BRRRR strategy across North America. So hot market, secondary market, you can absolutely do the BRRRR strategy. Now for the first R, rehab.
Yes, rehab. Let's break it down into two specific sections. The first one is a full, gut job renovation, just like you see in those reality shows or those maybe not so reality shows.
Quite often these places are down to the studs and it's completely gutted. So you have to do everything to get it up to par again.
And we've done some of these, okay? It's very labor intensive. It takes quite a bit of capital because think about it, going down to the studs. Now you need to put the building back together, okay? That's gonna mean what? Insulation, it's gonna mean plumbing, it's gonna mean electrical, HVAC, drywall, paint, and then there's going to be certain fixtures such as light fixtures, there's going to be chattels, there's appliances. So think of all that stuff when you're doing a massive rehab, and that's kind of the one that everyone initially goes to, is that total gut job.
Yes, now that being said, you don't necessarily have to do everything yourself. So Dave and I, we're not necessarily handy people. We rather purchase properties and do the number crunching. So that being said, have we done the BRRRR strategy? Yes, but instead of doing it ourselves, we spend our time buying more properties and we contract out. If you don't have the money to do so quite yet when you're getting started, that's okay. That's where doing it yourself can end up saving you lots of money.
Yeah, good point, Mel. Now the second portion of the rehab is, let's say, not totally gutting the place, just doing some rehabilitation, right? Some renovations. And you would be surprised at how much a property can appreciate in value with some small renovations. And I'm going to list a few here. So let's say if you were to do a countertop. A countertop is going to, look really nice. It's not going to be very expensive, but it's still going to demand a higher rent. Vanities in the bathrooms will also be a small renovation that can get you higher rent, which will make your building appreciate in value. The other thing too is light fixtures. Everyone loves bright rooms, bright areas, some fresh paint, right? These are things that you can do on a budget, and you can probably do yourself and not break your wallet.
So what we'll do is include in the description the top 10 renos that you should do when you are doing renovations in a property.
But wait, we don't want you going there until you finish this video.
Yes. Second R, rent.
Yes, the rent This is not a complicated portion, right? This is basically what it is.
Well, I wouldn't say not complicated, because remember when you started, used to be one of your biggest fears.
Actually, she's right. This was a major roadblock and barrier for me. But the rent, why is this so important? Okay, there's a couple of different things. You obviously want to find great tenants that are going to take care of the asset that you just rehabilitated, right? That would be the worst thing, to have just completed all the renovations, put a bad tenant in there, and then all the work you've done is for nothing.
My goodness. Yeah, so you absolutely want to make sure to do your due diligence, take your time, show it to many people. The more people you show it to, the better chances that you are to finding that perfect tenant.
Now, over and above finding the perfect tenant, you are going to want the highest rent possible. What is the market doing? What can the market bear in regards to rent? So when you're doing the BRRRR, the higher the rent, the better, and we'll talk about that in the next R.
But before we move on to the next R, you should already know what the place should be renting for. So if it's a 2-bedroom, how much is it worth? If it's a 3-bedroom, how much can you get it rented for? So if you're enjoying the content so far, please make sure to give us a thumbs up. Comment below as well. We love reading all of your comments. R number 3, refinance.
In my opinion, this is the most important part of the whole BRRRR strategy.
And the most exciting.
Well, exactly. Once you get your new appraisal, right? Once the appraiser goes through, because you've just done the rehabilitation, you've just rented it out at a much higher rent, the appraiser's going to go through now and is going to give you a new appraised value on your asset. Now, why is this the exciting part? Because if you've done this correctly, your asset will now be worth a lot more money, which means when you go to refinance it, you're going to be A, paying out the existing debt, and B, keeping anything over and above as a refinance.
Now, this is why getting the highest rent possible is so important, because when it comes to refinance time, it's part of their calculations. Now, if you're thinking, hey, I know somebody who's an appraiser, that's perfect, I'll be able to get an extra high appraisal, that's not how it works. You have to use the appraiser that the bank or financial institution chooses. So just know that ahead of time.
Another great thing about refinances is this is a tax-free event. So think about it this way. People think, well, I'm getting money. Shouldn't I get taxed on it? No, a refinance, what you're doing is they're giving you money, and in exchange, they have a mortgage on the property, so that you have debt on the property. So yes, you're getting the money, but you will be repaying that in the form of a mortgage. So like I said, the refinance to us is the most exciting part, and it's a tax-free event.
The 4th R, repeat.
Okay, so think of this. Repeat. Now let's break it down. So you bought the property, okay? R, you rehabilitated it, you made it nice and pretty, you made it functional, you made it awesome for the tenants. Then you rented it out, okay? You got the highest rent possible. Then you refinanced, and now if all that is done correctly, you can have some money left over and you can repeat this process so that you have even more money again. This is a process that yes, you can do it once, but it's meant to do it over and over and over again.
So what you want to do is take that money and put it into the next deal. This enables you to continue to grow, because you're not using, again, in a way, your own money that you have to raise funds for. You're using the money from the property.
And this is why the BRRRR method or BRRRR strategy, whatever you want to call it, is so popular, because you can scale a portfolio, you can buy a lot of properties, and you're always increasing its value while utilizing the bank's money and getting the refinance to pay off the original debt.
Yes, what you don't want to do is you do 1 or 2 BRRRR and you use that money to go buy a boat or your big dream house. Hang on, you want to do quite a few of these before you start buying toys with your profits. So we use the BRRRR strategy, but we love using other people's money to buy our properties. That's our strategy. We never use any of our own money. So how does that play and how do we do it? Well, this tip is going to help you expedite your growth. That's how Dave and I have been able to purchase 12 in 12 months and now solely own over 200 units.
So you're probably already sold. You're probably thinking, hey, this BRRRR method sounds awesome. Sign me up. This is my investing strategy. This is what I'm going to do. Yes, I agree with you 100%. It works. It's awesome. And you can truly scale. Now, like Mel said, the spin that we put on this The leveling up, the more intense way of doing this is we do it, like she said, with none of our own money. And why is that important? Because if you're not using any of your own money, which in turn is other people's money, OPM, creative financing, and seller financing, now when you're making that money, that cash flow every month, and when you're making money from the refinance, your return on investments now become infinite. Nothing's any better than infinite, right?
Let's rewind and use the BRRRR strategy with the creative financing mindset.
So first off, the buy. Okay, when you're buying with other people's money and with creative financing, you need to ensure that you're buying a underperforming asset. And what does this mean? It means that you're getting a deal that still has a lot of room to grow. And I know that's the whole philosophy with the BRRRR, but you need to ensure that you have more cushion, you have more insulation, you have more room to truly grow, because you're gonna need to pay that money back to private lenders, private investors, the seller, the previous owner of the deal, however you purchased it. But yes, you're gonna truly need to do your homework before you purchase and make sure that you know how you're going to exit it.
Yes, and the best way to do this is look at lots of deals. If you're only looking at 2 deals a week and we're looking at 20, who's going to win? Look at lots of deals so you can really find these underperforming properties.
Now the next R, rehab. This can also be done with other people's money. You can borrow funds from, like I said earlier, private lenders, private investors to rehab your building, and then they will get paid back once you refinance. So again, when you're going into the rehab stage, just know that you don't need to actually utilize your own funds. You can still use creative financing.
Yes, and this enabled us to be off-site. We hire by using other people's money to do the renovations, but by doing so, we're also able to buy more than one property at a time. Now for rent, this is why we stressed earlier, ensuring that you get that high rent.
And again, you need to look at this as a business, okay? Every business out there, don't even think of income properties, every business out there wants to have as many sales as possible, as much income as possible, because then that allows them to have a bigger bottom line. Same thing with income properties. You need to look at it as a business, and the rent is your income source.
Now keep in mind, this can be a win-win with your tenants as well. Maybe you do extra things that they wouldn't be getting elsewhere. Maybe you ensure that they have a smoking area, for example, if they're smokers, or maybe you add a fence in the backyard so their kids and dog can run around. There's lots of different ways. Even laundry facilities are a great way. If they don't have one in the unit beforehand, give them those services. They'll be willing to pay a little bit more rent because you're living in a happier environment.
Now the next R, refinance. This is why we love it so much, because this is where you're going to have lifted the asset, right, from your purchase price to your new refinance. This is where you're gonna have literally created money, and that's how you're gonna pay back the private lenders, the private investors, the creative financing. So the refinance part is the part where you get to basically exit that deal. You get to exit the borrowed funds.
Now, quite often, we even have an amount left to us as well. Of course, what do? We put that into the next project.
Now, the last R, repeat. And this couldn't be even more true when you're using other people's money, because those funds will never end. Those funds will never be depleted, because there's always other people out there that have funds and that will want to invest into real estate with you.
So we're curious, what's your favorite part of the BRRRR strategy? Our favorite, of course, is the refinance, but what do you prefer? Are you a handy person? Do you like to buy? Do you like the rehab? Do you like to refinance?
And the other thing as well is, let us know. Are you doing it with your own money? Are you utilizing creative finance and OPM? So comment below, because we will always answer every single one of the comments and every single one of the questions.
Yes, and we actually answer ourselves. It's not somebody else that does it for us. So I mentioned earlier the top 10 rentals, so I thought I'd attach this here as well, so make sure to go check it out. I'm Mel.
I'm Dave.
And we'll see you there.